In the bottom left corner, a blue Protoss player representing Abydos. This is NightMare. Sorry, I'm talking slow because I'm trying to quickly. Set of predictions. They are now live if you would like to check that out. Nice music. It was nice music during the break, wasn't it? The last song that was on was Campfire by Junior Rodeo, I think. You want to check that out? Top right side, our red Terran is going to be GuMiho. Well, these two are in the bottom half of their group, and well, GuMiho's 2 and 3, and NightMare is 1 and 4, so it becomes pretty darn important here for both of these players to win. A win for NightMare could actually put him ahead of GuMiho, which for the moment would put him into playoff position. That's the swing in this match, and this is NightMare, who's tied for 7th and 8th place, could move up into playoff position, and there's only 8 people in the group, so it's a pretty massive game. A very important one. And yeah, we also have Ryung vs. Creator. That's another match. That's coming up after this. That's another match between 2 players in the bottom 3 of the group right now. That's going to help propel one of those players forward. And then Creator still has to play DRG as well today, who is up at 3 and 2. Could also, if DRG loses to Creator, could also get dragged into a little bit of chaos down on the lower ends of this playoff battle. This group's starting to turn very close. Depending on these results in these next 2 or 3 matches, Group A could be extremely close, actually. So, I guess we'll see how that all pans out as we get underway. Cybercore coming up. That's going to finish on the corner. We do have our Nexus setting up as well, just on the natural, so we get that rolling. Natural, going to get the Nexus completed. And obviously nothing too crazy to start us out here, as the Reaper of GuMiho is going to move out over to the left-hand side of the maps, just making a move. With this, obviously scouting around. It's not TvT anymore. You don't have to keep this Reaper pinned back or anything like you did in the TvT. Afraid of your opponent's Reaper. Yeah, you can just move across the map just like this and get some scouting going as our Reaper comes through our pylon, taking a couple of shots. And we do have the Adept just chasing that Reaper down as well. As the Adept is going to jump on top, the Reaper is going to take a hit, but otherwise we're just going to get over here. So yeah, guys, with the previous TvT results, worth mentioning that this pylon's just scouting. Like I say, again, Maru is going to now be first place in the group guaranteed. So him and Hero sit in opposite sides of the semi-finals. Like I say, exciting to start filling in the gaps of this playoff puzzle, figuring out where those players are going to be at come next weekend when it's playoff time. 2 Reapers do get rid of 1 pylon here, and we do have the couple of units of NightMare still moving through the middle of the map as well. So moving up towards the top. The Oracle's on the way out, the Warp Gate's coming through, and the Adept's obviously trying to get some damage. Like I say, the pylon, you know, keeping one of the Reapers back for a while gives you a bit of information as to what's going on as well. Now let's see what these Adepts can do. There's a Widow Mine that, you know what, this is such a cool little trick. The Widow Mine unburrowed on top of the other mine. It makes it look like you forgot to burrow it, right? So if you run in to try and fight it, the other mine is right there, so you know, it really is a bit of a trick play. As the Adepts, though, get to shade straight into the main base. Well, that's not a trick play from NightMare. That's just GuMiho, I think, looking at his Reapers on the other side. And then taking, well, not paying attention over here to lift the depot. As now the Widow Mines did relocate, though. We're going to kill 1 Adept. The other will not die, although there's actually a chunk of Widow Mines just covering all over the place. We are going to clean up all of these Adepts. And now we actually have 4 mines we can drop across the map. I assume that's something we're going to try and do, as we just don't save the low HP SCV. This last Adept causing chaos. 27 SCVs for GuMiho against the 37 of NightMare. This was actually not too pretty of a start. We're going to be quite far behind, but he does have a massive army supply lead, so probably can turn that into something over these next few moments. I'd imagine I'd be shocked if he doesn't do anything with a 23-7 army lead. Like I say, the setup here from NightMare has kind of just been that Oracle has just been defending, so you do get a battery on the natural. That's important, but GuMiho doesn't have to attack the natural. He could attack into the main. In the end, though, I mean, GuMiho's still not moving out, which actually is really wild because he has all those Widow Mines now just kind of dotted around the place, so he doesn't drop any of those. Well, NightMare will be happy about that. Like I say, he's on the low army supply, and Now his gateways are finishing. Blink's not far from being done. By the time GuMiho does attack here, NightMare will have had time to rebuild into this army and utilize the work account to get back into this. As that Cyclone lock-on is good for the kill, Oracle will go down, so the Oracle really did nothing. Well, it defended like the Reapers initially, I suppose, but dies very quickly coming across the map. That's obviously not exactly ideal. Here's the Cyclone set up on the natural. We'll see a few Stalkers stepping forward, the Adept pulling back. Raven just sits between the natural and the third base. Just drop a Robobait down from NightMare as we have his continuation of the tech. He actually goes charge straight away and then Robobait just straight after that. So, not really uncommon, but just worth noting that charge will be on the way for him too. As the Marines, the Cyclones, and the Raven are beginning to, well, set up in the center. You have a Raven over here going to drop down an auto turret, and that's going to be a couple of probes that already get knocked down. And the Raven actually pulling back over this way. Raven will die. No! Kept alive. Going to get 4 probes in total. The rest of this GuMiho army doesn't go anywhere. We do have the Widow Mine drop finally coming across the map. 2.5 minutes late. We're finally going to show up, and let's see if we can do some damage. Looks like NightMare was already moving in position, but did he actually notice the Widow Mines? Maybe not. That's a massive connection. The probes from the left and the right joined together, and that Widow Mine got so many kills, about 8. This Widow Mine went into the assimilator, so it didn't kill anything. This one will get 1 more probe, and that's a fantastic drop from GuMiho. He puts himself just leveled out now in this series with workers. 51 to 51, and both players are going to be feeling some pressure in the early stages, but GuMiho definitely coming out on top. Equal worker count in TvP, brilliant position to be in. He has got a 3rd CC on the way up. That's the good news from NightMare, is that GuMiho's oversaturated a bit, so some of that worker lead maybe doesn't go anywhere, whereas he is mining properly off of 3 bases. Oh, now these 2 armies are going to run around each other. Okay, this is just going to get a bit chaotic. GuMiho's going to hit the 3rd base. NightMare is going to run into the natural, I'd imagine. I don't see him recalling here. I think he just... Okay, I see him recalling here. I guess GuMiho showed up before he kind of committed. If he'd gone any sooner, NightMare, I guess he doesn't recall, but obviously he kind of sees it before he goes in, so I guess recalling makes a lot of sense. Cast a curse. There's actually a pretty sick cleanup from NightMare. He only loses 2 probes, and he really cleans up very easily. The Disruptor helping chunk units down as well. Very nicely done, actually. I guess also you look at the front line here, and it's actually not an easy position to push into, so even more reason to be a little bit more skeptical about that kind of stuff. Stalkers make their way with Zealots out onto the map, moving their way to the front. I'm just going to have the Stalkers starting to ping their way through the depots. So a couple of depots will get picked away at. Obviously knock down the wall off, and then maybe the Zealots can find a way in. Maybe not while this 3rd CC is here, but later on. One depot gets cancelled, and well, GuMiho is in the main base. He's going to deny +1 attack. That Forge going down. There's a little bio drop doing very well there as our Stalkers turn back around, and Marauder group are trying to find the Disruptor. We nearly kill the medevac that's full of units. Kill a Widow Mine for good measure. Both players are just, we're just scrapping, you know. Both are taking quite a bit of damage. Both are taking some losses. GuMiho is now fighting out to his 3rd base. NightMare never really got too far ahead on workers. I thought he might do with GuMiho's 3rd being that bit later, but he's only about 4 ahead, which isn't bad, but obviously against Triple Mule, GuMiho should still have an eco lead. And Stalkers again chased back. A few Zealots already launching across the map instead of helping to defend here as we lose another Stalker. Now an Adept in trouble. The entire army coming out of the natural expansion should finally show up, and hopefully we'll be able to do something. The first Widow Mine is actually going to hit onto the Adept, the second on a Colossus. The Disruptor shot on the flank is going to get a couple of units, forcing the lift off, but now we unload again. Well, NightMare's chasing units away on this direction. The 3rd base has to be lifted against the Zealots, and man, just no allowance for a break or pause in the action. These 2 just keep on swinging at each other. And punch lands after punch lands. Again, the 3rd base of GuMiho is still up in the skies. His couple of Marauders not likely to be a defense against those Zealots, so they're going to go running away. Maybe they can be supported by this little medevac drop on the right side. That actually does lift up. Those poor Marauders, they jump into a medevac hole. They're like, oh my goodness, we just ran for our lives. There were these Zealots, they had Psyblades, and then they're like, wait, what's that? Medevac explodes, and like, we picked the wrong medevac. That's the most epic getaway into just failure. Okay, 3 SCVs going down. NightMare on the full-on aggressive push here, but this army on the right side, the little drop is going to be the flank, so we can try and take down the Colossi. We blink on top of it. 1 Colossus goes down. 2 new Colossi reinforced, because not a moment goes by in this game where the situation changes. This is a ridiculous, right? Like, every time something happens, something else starts to happen like a moment later, or like I say, the situation flips. You know, there 2 Colossi showed up just as this fight was about to happen with the flank in. Man, actually crazy first 10 minutes of this series. Royal Blood delivering between NightMare and GuMiho, and you can tell that these two know it's an important matchup. They're both really trying everything they've got, and they both really want to try and come out of this with a win, obviously. Zealot, Stalker, Colossi up the right-hand side. Do have our bio joining up together, the Medivacs overhead, and the Orbital Command just going to try to get to the 3rd base as well, so just getting all of that going. To attack on the way in. Ghost Academy coming up. We do see our Widowmine getting picked off. A Marauder is taken down as well. And a few DTs are going to just wander into the 3rd. I mean, not allowing GuMiho to have the 3rd base is going to make his life so difficult for so long. And now he's losing a bunch of SCVs. So GuMiho's worker count is going to drop down to 49. Even with the 3rd base, he now barely has 3 base economy, as though, I guess, just to make it up, we're going to kill 8 probes with the Widowmine drop. So there you go. 4 mines find 8 probes. And at least makes a little bit of this a little bit better. And GuMiho could definitely still do with more workers. Although, mining out of the main means he doesn't necessarily need full saturation for 3 bases, or the usual number to fully saturate 3 bases. So that's a bit of a factor. Blobs coming out, +1 armor coming through. 5 more probes again. These Widowmines not being dealt with, so they get to fire off for 5 more workers. Cannons finally finishing. NightMare just assumed the cannons were going to be in time, but they were. They just weren't. We are now onto Ghost as GuMiho, so a little bit of an improvement when it comes to the currently available army composition. Some EMPs, well, they'll definitely help if there's more DTs showing up, but also against Disruptors, being able to just chew through those more quickly with their shields disappearing. GuMiho has 1 army out to the right side. He has 1 army down to the south. He is going to get a scan onto the first few DTs there. Oh, he's going to find the pylon powering the robo facility. 1 disruptor denied. The other one killed as it pops. Which would you rather be? Stuck in stasis or killed as you spawn? Forge in the back goes down as well. He's the 2nd time he's killed an upgrade this game. So now +1 armor denied. And GuMiho's on +2 attack already. But no armor upgrades from GuMiho himself. These Vikings can turn around and maybe get that Colossus. He actually continues to just move with them. Meanwhile, we're in the bottom right-hand side, and GuMiho takes down this location. This base will fall, so no 4th base from NightMare. NightMare, you denied my 3rd base for so long. Let me show you what it's like to lose your 4th. And how about the 5th as well, actually? I didn't realize he had this gold up, but GuMiho's going to find it, and he's actually not going to get rid of it. But that gold's more easily denied. Even if you don't deny the base, just going to the other side. The mineral line denies the mining very easily. DT's showing up in the main, as, again, apparently this game just can't go 3 seconds without new action starting. And the DTs slice and dice their way through more than just a mineral line. So GuMiho's worker count is still in a horrendous position despite everything he just did. It's 33 SCVs to 57 probes. And NightMare's got Colossi pushing up the ledge into the main base. They get chased. He loses one of them. Stalker's trying to help. Zealots start to peel away. Decides maybe not to. We've got the DT over here now, who actually blinks one back up and towards the high ground, trying to get away from the scans, which he managed to do. Going to force the EMPs onto the DT at least. Heat up some of that ghost energy, which if there's a bigger fight looming, less ghost energy available is actually an absolute thing you want to work on as the Protoss. Wow. What an absolute bonkers. And I really mean bonkers game so far. It really has just been 14 minutes of twists and turns, and like I say, not a moment has gone by where anything like stays level or as it should. It's just had a bit of everything. Absolutely ridiculous game here on Royal Blood as we do have. Well, an army of GuMiho looking around the left, an army on the right. We're going to start collapsing into this position. A couple of EMPs going down. Pylons already dropping. We collapse in from the right and left sides. There's Disruptors coming up into the center too. Vikings really trying to get rid of the Colossus there. Not quite able to. These Stalkers now under fire. Both Colossi will fall. GuMiho just has so much army supply, and the +2 attack against just +1 attack. No armor upgrades especially. Really feels as though NightMare's going to struggle. just to keep units alive. Losing the gold base, that's his 4th. There are SCVs going down again because this game wouldn't end in a normal situation. 16 SCVs remain for GuMiho. But I just don't think there's a way to actually, I guess, Disruptor shots win this game, right? One Colossus putting some damage out because naturally this Colossus also survived on 1 HP. The Disruptors, oh my god, they all went down. The last one that hit was just as GuMiho was lifting into the skies anyways. Now the Colossus drops as well. Super Battery is not saving the day for NightMare. And he's going to lose out on everything. Man, there was hope. Those Disruptors, and hell, he found it. As we move on through, just going to scan to get rid of the DTs. Obviously, we do have Orbitals still, which is important because without the Orbitals, maybe these DTs are good enough, although we have EMPs on the go, so probably not. And it looks as though GuMiho really does have this game. We EMP one more Dark Templar. This Nexus on the 6 o'clock is about to go down. +2 attack, +1 armor still being brought in. A couple of additional DTs warping through too. And just seeing the probes of NightMare work all the way down to the south. DTs blink forward there, but they are not able to get a catch on the Medivac, so that won't go anywhere. Oof. Like I said, guys, quite the game. It really is like just such a, it's been such an active game, so much happening. Obviously, GuMiho has enough, I think, to close it out at this point. Just joining up with his reinforcements are going to be brilliant. Just jump straight onto our 3rd base, and well, yeah, there's just no saving this for NightMare. There's a scan preemptively just to check what's there, and also to deal with DTs perhaps. And GuMiho gets ready to push into the natural to confirm game number 1 in his favor. Gets 1 DT, gonna go straight through. Pylon goes down. I feel like we've seen that Pylon die before, where he depowers this Robo, but not the other. I guess he just replaced it in the exact same place because it also powered that gateway. Yeah, this game is gonna come to a close, guys, as GuMiho's army supply is good enough to carry him through even after all of the work and damage he took to the Dark Templar. GG, GuMiho is gonna have himself game 1, and man, what a game it was, like I say. The bottom right-hand corner, down a map, our blue Protoss player is NightMare. Taking on the red Terran player, GuMiho, in the top left. Well, these two had an absolutely bananas game number 1. Hoping that game number 2 is just as fun. I feel like it's going to be hard to match that first game, though, seriously. It'll be very hard to match it. SCV coming out, we do have our probe down to the low ground here as we get set up. So far, so good. Having a little bit of a scout around, see what's going on in these early stages. Okay, we're coming in. Barracks is building. We do have our gateway about to finish in the main base, and the barracks finishing at home. As we get this all set up, nice and peaceful on Gresvan to start. I feel like these two need a bit of a peaceful opener because, again, the first minutes of that last one were absolutely ridiculous. How are we doing, Twitch chat? I feel like we had some long games. I feel like I've not talked to everyone. How's everyone's weekend going? Everyone having a good weekend? Anything exciting happening in your worlds, Twitch chat? Anything fun taking place lately? Probably just something other than follow this pro, but there's a Marine opening, not even a Reaper for me to unfollow across the map, so I'll just watch our Reaper, our pretend Reaper, our Marine, move forward a little bit as we get set up. DJ Rack moving soon? Hell yeah. Hope it goes well for you, hope it's nice and smooth. You built some curtain rods, nice productive day for an adult. I can appreciate that. Yesterday I got excited because my girlfriend told me to weigh out 50 grams of cheese, and I got really hyped because I got I weighed out 50 grams of cheese with my first chunk. I was absolutely, like, so hyped. It was probably the highlight of my day outside of the StarCraft games. You got to shoot some rockets in the military and see them fly. Wow, that's much more exciting than my cheese story. You have to practice with my ban in 1.5 hours. Do you get a creator game for that? Well, it kind of depends how long the matches take, right? If the games are still going in 1.5 hours, I'll be here. Yeah, probably. I pro cheeser. Apparently so, man. Apparently so. Hellion just running by for the scout. Obviously is going to get the full scout. And this is the Twilight Council from NightMare. I would be more shocked and horrified by the fact he's gone Twilight into charge. But he really has done this a lot. This is a build that NightMare has been using throughout the Korean Royale. He took a map off of Maru with it in his first play day. So actually has been a pretty darn good choice for him. And has definitely seen some success. So I feel like we're going to probably continue to see that be something of a factor as our Prism pops and a couple of Zealots are going to load up. The Raven is on the way through, the tank is popping out, and that charge just starting as well on the side of NightMare at the moment. So it's getting all of that up and running. Observer on the way out too. And a few probes are actually going to have to pull in to try and surround this Cyclone, which is going to get some kills. Well, these are units that are going down for GuMiho. You know, the Hellion, the Cyclone, that's... Well, maybe not the Hellion so much, but the Cyclone, you know, unit that would help defensively when the attack of NightMare comes across the map. So he's going to be missing out on that as the Cyclone now does go down. Showing Stalkers, by the way, as well, means that you don't necessarily know it's going to be these Zealots. Obviously, Stalkers are good against the Cyclone, but maybe less preparation. It's only 3 Zealots into the main base. This should be manageable. GuMiho instantly retreats with the SCVs. And the Marines are going to go straight in now for those Zealots. So, pretty decent defense, actually. GuMiho not losing much. The follow-up here from NightMare has generally been Storm. And we see the Templar Archives is on its way. So, expecting Storm to be the next step of this build. And don't know if GuMiho can really do much to punish this, because if you move out on the map, the Zealots counterattack you. The charge keeps you pretty safe initially, actually, as NightMare, even if you don't have like a huge amount of Zealots straight away. So I feel like it's quite difficult for GuMiho to do anything that, you know, hits the timing or any sort of, you know, anything along those lines for a while here. Storm is producing. The Nexus starts up on the 3rd base. A couple of SCVs going down as the Zealots come through. I'm just going to be seeing all these SCVs starting to drop. Marines continue forward. And the Prism just pushed into the corner. That's nice though, man. 6 SCVs going down. I mean, NightMare doing enough to, I want to say, keep him in a good position. His own Nexus is late, right? So that's the kind of the problem. He needs to do some amount of damage because his Nexus is later, and the worker count isn't exactly brilliant for him right now. So doing damage like this, slowing GuMiho down, kind of a necessity. But the necessity is being filled. So you see Stimpak and the +1 attack upgrade coming through from GuMiho as well. A couple of extra SCVs producing. And the command center, a 3rd CC. And built up here as well as a couple more barracks get built on the main. 2 more racks in production. You see the auto turret into the main is going to get rid of a handful of SCVs. 5 probes. Well, nice for GuMiho to get rid of some of these workers. Going to get a few more as well. Forcing the pull away is also going to be lost mining time. That does add up in these games. As yeah, solid stuff. My Templars were looking for some storm drops, but didn't really get too far in apparently, so that gets turned around. And GuMiho just on a worker lead. Just feels like this game is very comfortable for him. Obviously, again, just as he strikes with the Raven, he's done more damage in this game than NightMare has, and yet NightMare was the player we were talking about maybe needing to do more. I've killed quite a few Marines as NightMare, so he has worked his way through that GuMiho army, but I'm not sure how much that matters, again, if GuMiho has got a worker lead in a matchup where your opponent's meant to have the worker lead, you know, so those few Marines feel very replaceable. The missing economy all the way throughout this game for NightMare, not so replaceable. Hard to go back in time and to bring that back up, right? Yeah, time travel, he'll probably never lose a game again. Prism pulls back through, and a couple of Vikings will go onto the Warp Prism. just going to knock that straight down. We do have the Ghost Academy already coming up. And the main army of NightMare just working out over to the right-hand side. All the units gathering together. The Orbital Command will be coming down to the low ground. Link to finish soon. I'm just going to be seeing the medevacs again. Big boost across to the left-hand side to try to see what's going on. Medevac's going to come down the bottom. Zealot Stalker's coming in. Our Medevac's going to get intercepted. It's a massive drop that gets caught. Do we kill any of it? Oh, the one Medevac that's low. Oh my god, left, right, left, right. Now I think you're actually in trouble. Maybe if GuMiho had just gone through, he maybe loses one Medevac at most. Now he's going to lose two Medevacs full of units. He's going to lose all three. Oh. GuMiho just needed to commit, and I didn't even think the one was going to die. Maybe it would have done from those Stalkers that blinked. But, man, one at most. Now he loses all three of them, and this drop gets denied. What a way to get back into the game here as NightMare. Well, that really helps. Like I say, NightMare's had... And it's not like NightMare's done nothing this game, but that's 30 supplies, suddenly 3.5 to 1.3k resources lost. And to really kind of hammer the point home about the position we're at in this game, I feel like the game is even after that. Yeah, that's where GuMiho was at. Like, GuMiho was in such a good position, and now he's still ahead in workers, which is great. Army supplies are kind of even. You know, I would say it's as even at this point. So GuMiho, with such a blunder, still in a pretty even spot. We have apparently some ghosts initially that work forward, going up against those Colossi. Now Vikings try to find them. The Raven goes down. The auto turrets drop, and apparently this game's just going to be a little bit chaotic as well, because these two can't play a normal game of StarCraft without having a whole set of chaos go alongside it. So yeah, a little bit wild at the moment here in game number 2 of GuMiho and NightMare, as we do pull back up the right hand side. +2 attack, +1 armor on the way out. A couple of extra Vikings coming in on the starport, and the CC will just be lifting off here as well. So CC just wandering forward a little bit, and we'll have a Widow Mine at the front there to help against that command center defense. Triple Stargate from NightMare, so he's going to start teching up into the later stages. If GuMiho can't make any pushes happen, then you get away with that, and that will go down without issue as our army pulls around the right. Marines are going to come stemming through. Stalkers have to blink back a little bit. High Templar going to come forward as we do see the little catch there with a feedback. Double Storm is going to be good to help clear out some of these units and to help push them back. Stalkers continue to ping away, and just actually going to get that medevac as well. So everything will die here for GuMiho. Full cleanup from NightMare. Obviously, very nice, very beneficial. As one more storm comes down, a group of extra Marines still dropping, and this army of GuMiho turns back down into the center. Cannons come up, Shadow Stride coming in, our +1 armor is producing. So that all continues through the couple of medevacs, the Marauders, and the Marines. Everything you kind of need to keep this game rolling here in game number 2. One sec, guys. Sorry guys, door went. I didn't know if Helen was outside with Ellie and didn't hear it or something. Just had to go double check quickly. Apologies. The disruptors coming out as well. We really can just work our way into the late game here as NightMare, I think. He's got the setup. He's got disruptors, he's got the bases, he's got stack defense, he's got the stargates, the carriers will begin producing. GuMiho's army, by the way. 25 Marauders, only 7 Marines, extremely Marauder heavy. That's not great against Zealots, but there's not really many Zealots. So actually, like, his army's kind of well set up, but obviously Disruptors at least can do very well against those Marauders, so that's going to be something of a factor. GuMiho starts 2 more command centers, a starport in the main base as well. Looks as though GuMiho is deciding, hey, it's time for me to start firing up into my late game too, so there we go. Gravitic boosters on the way, by the way, so again, that observer speed running. And the Stalkers come in, we knock down a Marine, a couple of missile turrets are going to get chipped through as well. We take those down, the Marauders fire up a little bit and just see those Stalkers pulling back, as we do have the SCVs having to pull back away from the storms. And another storm going down, so SCVs getting hit by that. 8 workers going down, a couple of disruptors fire. Sensor tower goes down. Carriers are still producing from NightMare. And again, +3 attack, +1 air armor. All of this being brought out for the moment. Again, +2 ship weapons on the way. We really are just going further and further into the late game here, I feel like. Obviously, carrier count is really starting to grow now. We've got the first 3 out. The extra ones are starting, next round of production is coming through as well. GuMiho's building nukes. He's taking bases. And again, just upgrades across the board continue to come on through at the moment. As the army sits down the bottom left side. Little scan comes out. We do have a group of Stalkers in the top. Make their way around there, and it's going to get an insta-blink to deny this medevac. So another drop of GuMiho going down. I dare not think about how many resources GuMiho lost in this game, just from like medevacs dying with units inside. The resources lost, I just checked, it was 3,000 difference. Now 2,500 as we grab an observer and so on. But actually, like, it was 3,000. It was what, 2,000 different-ish, 2,500-ish. It was about the same as my point after GuMiho lost that triple drop. So my point basically is that these two have been trading fairly evenly for the last 5 or 6 minutes of this game. Ever since this moment here, that's been pretty even on the trade outs on either side. GuMiho with Fusion Core coming up as well as we again delve even deeper into this game. More disruptor shots fire but will not land. We kill off a couple of Stalkers. And the army of GuMiho working around the top right corner is going to go for a push into this location as well, where there's a group of cannons all setting up. We're going to start a nuke here actually just to work through. Okay, so he's actually going to go over here with this drop and then the nuke just to work through some of the stack defense here. So that makes sense. The more stack defense you can just remove easily, the better it will turn out to be for you. The Storm and DT defense here is looking okay, although it was looking okay. The Storms were, the DTs not so much. Nuke does land for a couple of cannons during this. And otherwise just seeing this army of GuMiho pulling back through to the top side of the map as Colossi get a few more shots off, a few more Marines are being felled. And the Viking count is growing and growing and growing as GuMiho gets 4 Vikings at a time. Did get that fusion core, I was going to say, we've not really seen anything from it yet. We're now going to build advanced ballistics. And now he's going to cancel advanced ballistics. And he starts Yamato cannon. Weapon refit is the upgrade for the BCs that enables Yamato cannon. So he was thinking about making libs and he's decided, no, I'm going to set up for battle cruisers, I think. GuMiho. Well, let's see if he really gets it. I mean, he's adding more starports. It seems like he's pretty serious about it. The Vikings here are going to try and threaten off the group of carriers that move on forward. We see double disruptor landing on a sensor tower. Stalkers will try and get rid of a couple of Vikings, and they will succeed easily. They're taking some tank fire, mind, but you might just want to clean out these Stalkers for different units anyways as NightMare. Nope, he rebuilds Stalkers. It's at that point where, sometimes you could replace Stalkers with maybe more air units, but, yeah, it seems like he still wants the Stalker force on the ground. GuMiho just holding out on his 5 bases. NightMare has, 7 bases setting up, so he has this entire side of the map, basically, coming through in his favor. +3 ship weapons coming up on the armory. And obviously that's going to be important as I do believe these tech labs are about to finish from GuMiho. They are on his starports, and if he trades out a bit of supply, we're going to start seeing a reproduction, a remax of battle cruisers. Talk about epic late game situations as a Widow line goes off for a Stalker there. GuMiho works his way around this right side. I love the fact that they're just like, you know what, game 1 was really crazy. Let's make game 2. I was like, it's going to be hard to match game 1. And it's not being kind of like game 1 in the same kind of way, but it's still been pretty crazy with like 30 supply drops just dying in an instant, and now BC's transitioning. Maybe this game will rival game number 1 as we come through kicking off again, just map control of the Protoss player, taking away observers, taking away his vision. Stalker's trying to just find the openings that remain. There's not going to be many of them, and honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing these Stalkers replaced with other units soon, because while it is nice to have this kind of activity on the map, there's a point where these Stalkers just don't do that much in a fight. Now, Stalkers could be really good kind of being rebuilt, you know, when you're reproducing during a fight. Adding in like a bunch of Stalkers then can actually be very effective, but you know, during the actual main fight initially, I just do not feel like these Stalkers are going to carry their, you know, the weight that their supply holds, or the supply requires of them, because it may just feel as though they get completely overrun. Then again, like I say, Stalkers are kind of nice against BCs and Vikings, but can they join a fight? Like, that's my issue. Will they be able to be meaningful in a fight with so many Marauders on the ground? I guess that's what the Disruptors are for. They're going to push the Marauders back and give the Stalkers a chance to fight against the BCs and Vikings. Well, like I said, it's an interesting question, right? We're really diving deep in kind of the ideas of how this TvP matchup works and what interacts with what in these late-game engagements. The Vikings off over to the side. A group of Stalkers coming through, an SCV and a couple of turrets again picked off. Up and down this turret already. Again, the Gravitic Drive coming up. The Robo Bay getting that upgrade in. More missile turrets going to come out the front of this CC over here. It's just going to set all of those up. As Stalkers come forward, the first medevac going down. Disrupt a shot of NightMare players through. Just landing short of the rest of that bio army. Big stim, just going to keep moving in here. So GuMiho actually going to move all the way down to the south side of the map. Around for a few moments again, chasing those Stalkers out. Another disruptor shot fires, but doesn't really find anything. Obviously just kind of landing short of the Marauders there, as we'll come back through again. A couple more disruptor shots a second time around. Not quite landing as the battlecruiser of GuMiho comes all the way to the bottom, through the bottom and in towards that 6 o'clock. +3 weapons, +3 armor, all coming up. Extra cannons finishing from NightMare. As you have the army of GuMiho still in the center. Observer hanging out overhead, just keeping a little bit of an eye on things, keeping a look as to what's going on. I mean, +3 on everything when it comes to the upgrade. Shields even being added on top of the attack and the armor for the Sky units, so... I mean, carriers versus BCs. Well, where are the BCs? Are they still hiding? No, they actually, there's a couple in the bottom right corner that may be getting ready to counterattack. So, never mind hiding that. You're going to get ready to get busy here. Stalkers move forward, and a couple of medevacs take some shots. We're going to begin to engage here, actually. 7,000, 5,000 resources lost. Resources in the bank at the moment from NightMare. GuMiho is also rich. 4K, 3.5K. Resources lost now, by the way, is dead even. So GuMiho has found some better trades recently. I think that's the Stalkers he's been killing. As this army moves forward, these BCs are going to fight, right? Like, they've been sitting there in that corner for a long time, waiting to strike, and they're going to move forward now. As NightMare moves in for an attack, so he's going to hit, and he has the teleport, right? Because he's teleported a while ago. The teleport's off cooldown again. I'm not sure what the BCs are really going to target specifically, but they're there. They're dealing damage. As the Vikings get active and they pick their way through a bunch of interceptors, obviously would love to work their way onto the carriers. We are going to knock down the fleet beacon, so there goes further carrier production. And like I say, those BCs can teleport not just away, they're going to teleport onto this army. Do we Yamato? Did we use them? No, we have Yamatos, he just didn't use them at all. As the Vikings are going to chase down every single carrier, apparently. We do have batteries starting to save the day a little bit. Some of those carriers preserved when they probably should have been lost. Stalkers and Disruptors from NightMare will reinforce. And that little move of the BCs was very costly, because I think that's really what netted GuMiho a bunch of those carrier kills. My goodness, absolutely stellar StarCraft 2 going on right now as our Viking production continues. Stalkers blink in. Planetary Fortress is going to be under fire here. I don't think that lasts very long. The question will be, what can these BCs and the Vikings do during this fight? Can we get through the Stalkers with the BCs? They're having to pull back a little bit. The Vikings will get rid of every single carrier. Vikings can land if necessary. They will try and go behind the Stalkers to, I imagine, stop the blink away. And of course they have smart servers, so they can lift up against the Disruptors. Man, they melted a few of the Stalkers they latched onto there with their shots. That was actually kind of ridiculous how much damage they started doing. I guess plus 3 weapons and everything starts to do that. It does add up, and the Vikings get bonus damage against mechanical units such as the Stalkers, such as the Disruptors. The Vikings have a role to play on the ground if they do get the chances. Probably will have to do it again here. So much of his supply is in the skies, and if NightMare just keeps building a ground army, then that seems fairly reasonable kind of way to go. Obviously, there's a lot of storms available. They're waiting for their next chance to actually really land on something real juicy too. Actually, them landing on the Vikings would be pretty good, as we're going to do the same play as before. Teleport these BCs in the corner, and I think we're just going to sit them there. Because you don't see them. You don't see this as NightMare, so you just sit them here until you have the teleport back. No, he's actually going to go, because he sees the Stalkers across, and he, well, actually recalls back off cooldown. I guess he just scans in and sees nothing. He's like, oh, this is fine, because worst case, I pull away to the corner. And he knows there's nothing building off the Stargate, and he's killed all the carriers, so there's actually nowhere to actually kill these. The Vikings apparently landed over here. They got lathered up in Storm, but they do manage to get rid of a few Stalkers already, and they continue to push through this topside base, which is being Planetary Fortress rushed, by the way, is going to go down to Viking and Biofire. A lot of Vikings going down. We're actually going to start building some Void Rays as NightMare. GuMiho up to 200 supply against 136. The BCs had to run back to the corner. Looks like one went down during that trade out. Can the Void Rays pop and chase those BCs down before teleport? Find out soon on this ridiculous episode of StarCraft 2, the Korean Royale edition. Wow, I mean, that Planetary just about surviving. It's not even in the right place to mine, but I guess it can protect a base later. The only base not taken right now is this one in the bottom left. It's the equivalent of this one, which, like I say, doesn't even have a proper base location set up on it, but I mean, I guess that doesn't matter right now, as the Stalkers will come through and they will not be able to buzz through that position, so we are holding it off. Where are the Void Rays? No, these are DTs, so a string of DTs to the bottom left corner. Well, that's going to be a dead Planetary. You know those don't survive when the DTs blink on top, even with the BCs flying in. Yeah, they might be able to kill the DTs, obviously, because there's turrets here, but the Planetary will go down. It is costly, mind you, as the BCs move back into the main base, coming through and just getting a little bit done. Continue to harass around and go for as much damage as possible. So a little bit more done. We head out to the top side with this Bioforce and the Vikings still, like I said, trying to take over this location on the 12 o'clock position here. These guys really heard me, mention in game 1. It's like, oh, it'll be harder this game 2 to compare to game 1. And they really took that very personally, didn't they? Like, they really took that very personally, apparently. As, wow. Like I said, there's only 2 bases yet to be taken, and those are the tougher ones to keep alive, because they're very open spaces to attack into as well, so it's just a difficult base to take, because there's no immediately great defender's advantage there, so that might be a consistent problem we have. As you do see, Vikings are going to land for some probes, but the Stalkers warping in. Don't think these Vikings will last too long. Vikings actually all get wiped out. GuMiho's actually running out of minerals. He's just down a lot of supply. He's down a lot of SCVs. His army supply is still good. He will drop the Mule Hammer. Sorry, did I say GuMiho doesn't have a lot of minerals? Guys, just take this image and just say, with me, GuMiho doesn't have a lot of minerals. Literally 2,000 minerals later. That's like 12, 13 mules. I'm a bit worried that GuMiho doesn't have any Vikings anymore. It really feels like that might enable NightMare to go back into like something of an air force, but I guess we're still kind of stuck on the ground as NightMare, so maybe that actually works out fine for GuMiho. Frees up the supply for BCs, although he didn't really need to free up supply. His supply was already quite far down. That is where his supply went. It was all those Vikings dying in those trades with storms and everything landing. Hey, we're going to build a fleet beacon though, so maybe we do go back into an air army, and then GuMiho will regret losing those Vikings. Even if you replace them with BCs, Vikings actually do have a good role to play when it comes to protecting those battle cruisers. GuMiho gets away from the disruptors there. Otherwise taking a pretty good fight. NightMare's got to be running out of gas soon. Oh, he didn't mine for this gas, so he actually has a lot of gas there. Okay. There's about 3,000 gas, 3.5 left on the map for NightMare, unless he takes this base. I think it's going to be similar for GuMiho. Yeah, it's probably a bit more. I think GuMiho has a bit more left. NightMare so far has mined more, and he's lost more, so he had to mine more. Disruptors again, keeping the bio away. There's actually bio coming in for a flank. Uh-oh. Here we go. This is going to be a massive fight. The Disruptors are going to have to go everywhere, but he does have great Disruptor shots on the left side. NightMare actually going to show up with some High Templar as well, and somehow this flank doesn't work for GuMiho. The idea was brilliant, but the Disruptors got so much done on the left. That was absolutely huge as these Void Rays are going to show up, and wow, the Disruptors again, absolutely massive. GuMiho is losing so much. These fights were terrible for him. Now he's going to try and come with the BCs to the top right, but can they do enough? Yamatoing down the pylons to depower the static defense. I actually don't think GuMiho has anything left on the ground. I mean, he must have something. He's got some Marauders Marines. It doesn't look like a lot. He is reinforcing and rallying out, but ignoring the BCs, GuMiho might be in some trouble. That fight was horrible for GuMiho. Look at this. Bang! And then he, bang again, just in case getting disrupted once wasn't bad enough. The Void Ray is dying to turrets, although a couple of them did retreat away. They're going to go chasing down BCs, apparently. So those Void Rays are going to go on the BC hunt. A couple of Yamatos lining up, just going to go bang, bang, bang. The Voids actually survive the Yamato. Needs a little bit of a tap to finish them off. The Stalkers on the ground trying to clean up these BCs. And if these BCs go down, I think GuMiho, it's not going to be game over. He is reinforcing, he is rebuilding, but his bank is stretched thin. Now he's lost this base. Mineral income might be a genuine issue for GuMiho. And I don't know if he's going to be able to keep on affording what he needs. Now NightMare has this new fresh base as well. It's a massive turning point of this game. As NightMare is going for this planetary, I was going to say, there's some freaking low HP battlecruisers right there. Grab those while they don't have teleports. That's like, so, that's like, you don't usually find an Easter egg on Christmas, but you just did. Eat it, man. This is your only chance to kill those battlecruisers. GuMiho just has no minerals at all. This base is lifting as DT show up as well. NightMare has just completely swung this game around. Just those disruptor shots that really changed everything. Now it looks like we're going to a game 3. Because obviously this is starting to look very good for NightMare. Eleven more Stalkers on the way out. Nexus going to get rebuilt in this top right corner. That was killed by the BCs that kind of started this whole sequence of events. Resources lost 51.9k to 59.6k. Favoring GuMiho, but GuMiho doesn't have the mining anymore. That's the deal breaker. GuMiho doesn't have the bases mining anymore to stay in the game. NightMare's just mined a bit more than him. And that's going to be, like I say, game-changing, game-winning. That's NightMare right now. Has, I think, the army just to go and do it if he wants to. Coming over to this left-hand side, ready to make something of a play here. Stalkers are going to recall to the top. The couple of BCs get pushed away. Stalkers really trying to get through those, but the BCs surviving for now. That's why I mean, kill them when you can, because BCs are annoying to get rid of. I really felt like maybe you could have killed a couple more earlier. Don't mind the caution from NightMare, though. It does feel like this game obviously still is going to go in his favor. Close out for him in the next few minutes. Because he's up 100 supply, and we are going to see a game 3. Now, dare I say it, guys, that game 3 might not live up to game 1 and 2. Like, game 1 of this series really set the precedent of, like, something amazing. Game 2 has been incredible as well. Like I say, in a completely different way. Game 1 was ridiculous, like, so active, so many things happening, so many twists, turns. Like, not a 10 seconds went by without something surprising happening. Not a fight started without sudden reinforcements appearing out of nowhere. This game's been epic on a whole different kind of scale. As our army of NightMare goes through the middle of the map. At this stage, yeah, NightMare's just working his way around. Obviously, Stalkers and Zelds will get the job done. There's not enough BCs to fight off this amount of Stalkers at this point. I don't really have anything else to say. As you blink on top of this, it might just be the final fight, actually. Stalkers working their way through everything over here. A few Marines running in, but there's also Zealots on the top side, and that is indeed going to be GG's. NightMare is going to take game number 2 of this best of 3. Game, 35-minute game. And now, game 3. What does this have in store for us? It's freaking altitude. Like, this is the big map. This is the map that's meant to take 30 minutes. You know? This is the map that is meant to take a long time. This is in the bottom left corner. Our Blue Protoss player is NightMare. And he is fighting against the Red Terran in the top right, GuMiho. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream, do consider hitting the follow button on this channel. And also do consider, if you've got a Prime sub or so, if you're enjoying these games, to use it. But most importantly, we do have the crowdfunding for the Korean Royale. If you guys think these games are awesome and these players are giving it their all, help us to make more of this tournament in the future by checking out our crowdfunding page. !Korea will give you the link to the crowdfunding page if you would like it. And with that link, you, like I say, can help support this tournament. And this one already fully funded $10,000. So is Season 2, but we will not run an extra crowdfunder during Season 2. So if you want to help make Season 3 awesome as well, and just guarantee awesome StarCraft all year, check out the crowdfunding page. I'll pop that in the chat for you guys right now. I'm so confused. This is a rerun. This is absolutely not a rerun. This is as live as you get in. I can answer any question you want me to right now. Well, I mean, who's gonna win? God damn it. And I was about to defend myself with my statement, and then you guys, I was too slow. Can you have exactly 50 grams of cheese? I'll try my best. I don't know if you can do that twice, though. That's like, to me, that's like once in a lifetime experience, you know, hitting the 50 grams immediately. You don't do that every time you make, you know, cut off some cheese. Twilight Council, Adept, Robo, all coming up here to start. The VOD for the Pride games isn't up. Someone else asked this earlier today. Maybe it's bugged. Let me check for you. It should be there. Yeah, I think Twitch is just being a bit buggy. They'll probably show up when the stream ends or something, though. I don't know why. It's just something on Twitch's end that's messing up, I guess. Maybe just chilling at home. Did grab a probe. Sorry, guys. Bad observing. I was chat a little bit. How's that Reaper just gonna start moving out across the map? Away we go. I'm just gonna come across. Same build as game 2. Honestly, I really feel like the build didn't put NightMare in a good position. Like, NightMare was pretty behind early on. So, not loving the fact that NightMare is going to be the, you know, repeating the last game. Has to pull these probes away. He had one massive window mine shot in this series as well. Oh no. No! He had to run away because this mine walked into the natural. It looks really dumb. He looked like he just pulled his probes back into the mine shot. Well, he did. Because there was a mine over here as well. He was trapped. Well, Zealots in the main base have some serious work to do. Not uncommon for a Terran to drop one mine and to let it walk into the natural, just to kind of be a little bit more complicated for the Protoss to defend and to watch for and to figure out, etc. That was obviously just the dream scenario where it basically blocks the probes escaping one way, because NightMare didn't realize it in time, otherwise he would have pulled the probes a different direction initially. Very cool play from GuMiho. And working out. It's not every time you see that work out as well. Like, you see it happen a lot and it just doesn't really do much. NightMare's got to work overtime now to bring this game back with these few zealots. We saw in the last game that it says, oh no, more probes. Gosh darn it, NightMare. This was a really epic series. Now you're just dying. I mean, seriously though, like, GuMiho is just getting so much damage done. That's going to put NightMare in a tough spot. And we already saw in the last game how difficult it was for NightMare to be in a good position off this opening when he didn't take, like, super crazy amounts of damage. And now he's taking a lot of damage, and his third base isn't even started. That's very late. This is really not great at all. This is real bad. I think this is the game where you just warp in High Templar, put them in the prism, and you go and try and storm drop an entire mineral line and hope that GuMiho messes up that defense. Or you go back to praying for the 30 supply of medevac drops to get killed and not do anything at all. You know, we saw that be a viable way back into the game last time around as well. So, you know, that's also a choice. That's also an option here. That's also something that can happen. Prism loads up both High Templar. You have the Zealot taking the Watchtower. And then next is coming down the third base. Of course, the man comes back in for a couple more probes because GuMiho just ain't done yet. 24 workers killed at the start of this game, and GuMiho in absolutely stellar position for the mid-game. This is the kind of mid-game where it's going to be very difficult for NightMare to not die to just the first bio push. The only good thing for him is that this map is absolutely gigantic, so any attack from GuMiho will take a while to come across, so that might give you a chance to counterattack as NightMare, it might give you a chance to deter the Terran player, for example. I feel like those are things you pretty much have to do, because otherwise you're going to be in an absolute world of trouble. There's no way. So yeah, maybe the size of the map can give NightMare like a lifeline to hang on to, but yeah, it really isn't exactly looking pretty. GuMiho's third CC will just finish up on location. It's always nice as well to be able to finish that up in position. Combat shield, +1 attack, couple medevacs, and the ghost will coming out. It's been like an hour since I explained the importance of this match, guys. So let me just do that again quickly, because this is Group A, and GuMiho is 2 and 3. A loss here would put him to 2 and 4, which would be the same as NightMare. And then they're really all scrapping around that kind of final playoff spot. A win would put GuMiho up into top 4, which is obviously a bit nicer. Nice matrix here, by the way. We do get a feedback after, but the High Templar unable to drop is a big deal. And Marines are going to come in from the other side. The Prism is just going to survive. He's going to chase it, but the High Templar get out at least. Oh my god. At least the High Templar got saved, because NightMare cannot have things go that badly wrong for him. That would have really been game-ending. Just give me a little come push. But yeah, basically TLDR, this is a very important match for these guys. Oh, he hits the EMP. There's maybe one storm left over. It drops onto the ghost touch away. And GuMiho's going to keep on pushing with a 25 army supply lead, +1 attack, upgrade finishing. Turns around. He's afraid maybe of the Zealot counter, and he doesn't have any EMPs left. So if those Zealots are a little bit too tanky, it's going to be very tough for him to get through those, and then that could be very costly for him, and maybe even game ending if you attack in incorrectly. Zealots and an Archon up the right-hand side. We do have the Robo facility still coming in from NightMare. Double Forge on the main base, and seeing the army of NightMare pulling back down to the south. Command center in the front, getting that 4th base up and running. Guys, I see a couple of people asking about the Saudi Arabia tournament. That's just not something I'm going to answer in the middle of the game. And probably not a good place to talk about it on stream in the middle of a tournament, because Twitch chat's just going to start coming up with discussions and debates no matter anyone's point of view. And that's not what I want to cultivate during the StarCraft games. I'd rather talk about that separately at a different time, if anything. So, yeah. Just because I see people repeatedly asking about it right now, I'll just let you guys know I'm not going to comment on it apart from saying this. Because I kind of want people to focus and talk about the games instead of going on a completely, you know, shifted discussion, which mods are probably going to time people out for and stuff, etc., etc., etc. So, No discussion about it either, because I just know you guys won't be able to agree on anything or fight. You know what I mean? Let's just stop it before it starts, basically. Fire comes back over to the left-hand side, as we do have a Marine holding out on the Watchtower. Marauders and Vikings are continuing to come on through here. The +2 attack upgrade on the Engineering Bay. And the army of NightMare continues to come over to the left as well. The Bioforce continuing to work away around the left-hand side. So, just trying to see what we can do here as this army of GuMiho comes around. We have an army on the bottom right as well. Zealots are already going to go charging forward. These units have to start backing away. A few of these Zealots already getting dropped. I mean, GuMiho is just maxed out. This feels like we're moments away from, you know, a fight that should be able to, you know, close this game out. I mean, storms are scary. Like I say, the size of the map is probably a factor, and the, you know, a factor. I was going to say a factor in the fact, but like just a factor towards NightMare still being alive here, and that GuMiho hasn't just overwhelmed him yet. If this was a smaller map, GuMiho I think would have won the game. But that means that NightMare does have a chance, and he's building a couple Colossi, so he's getting some extra splash damage up. Massive EMP though. That's the thing, is like not even like, you know, NightMare's not even getting the good fights here. Like he's not even like hitting the big storm or something. Like his storms are getting taken out of the equation almost immediately. Once we pull back a little bit as well, and just seeing the rest of this army splitting up over the other side also. Let's want to go charging through. We do have this height sampler from NightMare just going to come in and storm as well. The Bio's still staying back. Still blinking through, and a few of these ghosts continue to get picked away at. Again, a lot of damage being done as the army continues to pull away. The Watchtower being taken, the Stalker wanting to press forward, is going to blink back as well. T2 upgrades already building on the forges, and we do have the rest of this force from GuMiho down the right-hand side, ready to potentially push into the 6 o'clock position. Well, feedback goes down. The ghosts going to take a little bit of damage there. I mean, NightMare now is doing everything he can to survive. And like I say, the Colossus switch might be good because, you know, it's the kind of thing GuMiho isn't currently prepped to deal with. He doesn't have a high Viking count, and now that's the sort of army that maybe you can't stop as easily as GuMiho. So maybe an opportunity there as that Bio does pretty decently. Stalkers just coming through, a couple of Marauders going down. Whilst they continue in, the Zealots continue to chase. Again, the 2-2 upgrades finishing soon as well from NightMare, which will put him level 1 upgrades once more. GuMiho's going to build a fusion core. Don't tell me we're going to try and build BCs again, GuMiho. Not sure how I feel about that after the first game, because in that second game. That second game was also very good for GuMiho originally, guys, remember? The second game was very good. So you see on the upper left-hand corner as well, we'll see a sensor tower and a turret coming down as well. So all of this setting up. We do have our disruptors out on the bottom, hanging around also. +3 attack, +3 armor, Shadow Stride. All of that is producing as we do see the Bioforce of GuMiho steps forward again. His Zealot just about escapes out of there. And the advanced ballistics continuing up. It's going to be about halfway done in a few moments, and we do have, you know, the Fusion Core last time, actually I want to bring this up, the Fusion Core last time started to build advanced ballistics, and he actually cancelled it in favor of going for the Yamato, right, and getting the BCs. What if GuMiho regrets that? And now this time he's like, no, do not get tempted into BCs. Get the, you know, get the Liberators, make the Liberators really good. You know, GuMiho doesn't have the supply lead anymore. What he does still have is a pretty sizable bank when NightMares is still just building up, so taking trades is good as long as they're not bad trades, or too terribly bad. Obviously, if you can trade out and rebuild, you will be the one to, you know, afford more of that rebuild than your opponent will at this point. GuMiho using the size of the map to help him here by going into such a large surround in a very open space. He can kind of, you know, minimize the effect of the splash damage of his opponent, and he's dodged the disruptors decently, but with the extra few Zealots showing up to reinforce, This will be the end of this push in from GuMiho. He just finishes off that Colossus as the last Vikings are shot down by Stalkers as well. And GuMiho will go retreating away over to the right side as he escapes through the top for the moment. So GuMiho getting out of here. We do have the Disruptors again gathering in the upper left. A few Stalkers and a couple of Zealots, all that's setting up. 3-3 upgrades are coming out of the Forges. And again, the Colossi producing from the natural too. So again, those Colossi are rallying onto the map. We kind of need to rebuild those. We did kill every Viking, so it would not be a bad thing to rebuild. Like I say, NightMare's doing a lot of things right. But coming out of this trade, you know that GuMiho has got so much more in the bank. He's trading better. He's honestly got more bases too, and well, at least an equal amount of bases and income. Well, GuMiho is set up well, guys. And I'm not sure if NightMare is able to undo that this time around. Again, I'm impressed that NightMare's still alive, because he was behind enough for this game to be over and no one to really have questioned it, you know, 5-6 minutes ago. But here we are, 17 minutes in, and he's still fighting. He's still giving himself a chance, again, using the map, the size, the defender's positions on top of these ramps on his bases. Just anything he can to help himself out. Don't walk into the nuke. Oh my god. Just gets killed in time. Any later, that might have been going off anyways, and NightMare might have had a dead group of units. There's triple lib over here. They have advanced ballistics. The Stalkers get on top, though. And we kill off one, we kill off two. And the third one's actually out of reach, so the Stalkers have to blink away. So that will be an annoyance for later. We come back in on this side. Obviously, this is the army that just denied that nuke. And again, with the Liberator support, that's going to be a difficulty here for NightMare. He doesn't have the freedom or the money to clean up the... Yeah, he doesn't have the freedom or the money to really clean up the Liberators in an easy way. So I think that's going to be a pretty major issue for him as the Disruptor Shot comes by. Another one, just going to actually land big time on a few of those Marauders. So that's a pretty big deal. We will kill off this Nexus in the next few moments, and it's just so hard to fight into these libs. Like, you have Stalkers, but blinking Stalkers forward is not exactly ideal either. It's a great EMP, softening things up. We're about to surround this army at least. And this is actually going to go pretty nicely for NightMare. GuMiho, it's time to retreat and save what you can. I don't even mind that he doesn't turn around for these few units, because, quite frankly, that's just asking to lose the medevacs. Just accept that you didn't get them out of there. You've got the money to rebuild without losing more. Stalkers will blink underneath this command center on the right-hand side. Well, probe's going down as the Liberator sits behind that mineral line. Stalkers will move over and, well, attempt to go after the lib. Disruptor shot fires, a couple of ghosts going down, another Disruptor in the fire as well, a couple more Marines being picked off. Colossi still producing a lot of those coming out as the Stalkers come forward. Let's see a bit of bio. Turning around again, chasing, gonna grab a Templar, by the way, so that's gonna go down. As there was a pause during this game. Actually, this happened, remember if you guys, when we had the massive lag spikes earlier, this was at this point in time because my second PC lagged out of this game. So that's why there was some text there, there was a pause during it. As you have Azel going down, these few Stalkers being wiped. GuMiho is pretty much going to clean up on the left side. There is going to be the army on the right, which is going to be a pretty decent sized SCC waiting to come into position as this left side gets cleaned up. Perhaps as GuMiho can replace some of the bases he is losing on the right of the map. He just has a good army supply lead, and he has a lot of minerals. I guess that is an issue. He doesn't have gas. He has spending his gas on many, many Liberators. We are going to recall home over here, and these libs might want to turn around and actually get sieging. They weren't sieged all of them, so we get rid of a few, about half of them without the siege going down. Still dangerous for GuMiho. If you lose this fight too drastically, there is a chance of a NightMare counterattack. We lost every single ghost trying to get EMPs off. The Disruptors reaching them. And now seeing GuMiho coming back around into the center. He's actually going to find one Colossus. There's a massive amount of libs down on the bottom side. They're going to fly in for some damage somewhere, perhaps. I say, GuMiho just doesn't have gas. He's got minerals for days. You know, have as many Marines as you want, but mass Marine isn't necessarily great against anything here. But I mean, they're good damage output, but they will die quite quickly to everything else. Now, these libs down over this side, I'm just kind of surprised to see the libs that many coming across there on their own. Like 1 or 2, sure, but 6 of them was, you know, feeling a little bit unnecessary. see just lifts off, backs away. We do see the rest of this army from GuMiho. Then he's still happy to keep base trading. I think he feels pretty okay about it. And he's got money. He's got so much real estate compared to NightMare. And he's also just got an army that's killing buildings faster than NightMare, because a lot of NightMare supplies disruptors. Obviously, they can blast at buildings, but they're not as consistently putting out damage as the Bioforces. NightMare's actually in type GG. He just realizes that he can't break into the natural in an efficient enough manner, and that he can't do enough to stop GuMiho, and that's going to give GuMiho the 2-1 victory in an absolutely epic series. I mean, game 1, astounding. Game 2 was amazing. Game 3 was probably the worst of them all, and it was still pretty